Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome, welcome,
Hello.
welcome. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Yay! It's lovely to see you all today. So, for everybody that is watching this video today, I am joined by Delana Fiadino, who is based in Pennsylvania, Erin Prindle in Tennessee, Corinne Metzger in Ohio, and Marie Fleming Grant in London. And these beautiful ladies are all Soul Center Healing Hypnosis practitioners. Thank you so much for joining me today. And Marie, I absolutely love your Christmas tree in the background there.
This is an all year round fairy light situation. So I just
Oh,
keep it up
right,
all
okay.
year.
Well, it's beautiful. It's got
Yeah.
the festive vibe going on,
Yes.
which is fantastic. So we've got together today to talk more about soul center healing hypnosis, what it is and what it can do for the mental, emotional, energetic, and physical bodies. But the last time we all got together, I forgot to ask Corinne one of my questions. So I want to go straight out to Corinne from the beginning and to ask Corinne, what is your favorite and most impactful session that you've done in regards to SCHH?
Well, I have to say that my most favorite thing about any session would be the when people understand that everything happens for a reason. And the one thing that stands out, the one session that stands out in my mind is I have an acquaintance who suffers from multiple sclerosis. Well, she did. Um, and when you're suffering from something like that, or anything, any mental, emotional, physical, um, you tend to go into that victim mentality. And she found out in this session that the reason that she suffers from that in this life is that she was complicit in helping a doctor do electroshock therapy on mental patients that were in a mental institution. And after she got over the initial, shock of, I can't believe, I would do that, she she was like, I feel so much better knowing that this is not just random, and it's for a reason. And so then she was really able to dig deep and you know look into that root cause of what caused that. And I'm happy to say, actually, her symptoms, she's not on any medication anymore. Her symptoms have almost resolved. So that has to be my absolute favorite session.
That's incredible, isn't it?
I love it.
And the level of peace and clarity that you can find in your soul when you finally have a reason for why some of these things have occurred in this lifetime. It is just so profound. That's an incredible example. Thank you so much. So we've got Marie joining us this time as well. So I want to ask Marie to give us a quick introduction, a journey to how you found SCHH, and also what your most favorite and impactful session has been so far as well.
Yes, great. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here to talk about this because yeah, I've been on the kind of healing journey for, I think I'm in my 11th year of doing it consecutively. And I went through my own transformation, just basically just having a complete and utter burnout, debilitating burnout. So it sort of just jolted me out of the matrix life. So I used to be a lawyer and do the 9 to 5, kind of hours of work. So I was just very exhausted. So that was the thing that jolted me out. And then I just discovered the kind of the world of inner transformations. So that's what really got me onto the path of recovering, healing myself first, and then loving the area so much I had to immerse myself in so many different trainings. So I just spent many years just kind of going through all the different modalities and learning and training, setting myself up to help others. That was my mission. So over the years, it's just been very much evolving over time, and I did lots of hypnosis, got into EFT, very brilliant modality, and all of these pieces together with guiding, coaching, mentoring people, all of these different pieces, timeline therapy, were amazing. And I still use them, but there was always this sort of a little sort of scratch that I couldn't quite itch, and I think a lot of us feel this way as practitioners. There was like why are things maybe not sticking? And that was one of my things in my own life as well. And I got to the point of thinking, I've healed so much, not all of it, because we're always, you know, continuing, but I've healed so much. Why are there certain areas of my life that I feel like I'm just being bashed down and something's on me?
Yeah.
And I can't seem to break through. So I just kind of had that in the background. And I, you know, my life changed really in 2021 when I stepped into channeling. So I got into kind of this whole breadcrumb trail. One thing led to another. I had lots of activations, lots of craziness happening since 2020 when the world changed. And so I stepped into my role as a channel, and I started to channel directly my team, which is the Arcturian Council and the angelic realm. And that opened me up into a much higher frequency. And I was, again, shifting my path, doing lots of healing work. So my healing took another level. But there was still, I just felt like there was still, it was like I was just waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for. I was just kind of, there's something else. I don't know what it is. So I just carried on. And then it was this year, and I say this year, it feels like 5 years ago now, but it was earlier in 2020. No, sorry, we're 2024 now.
Yeah.
I do a lot of timeline work. I'm hopping all over the place. It's 2024 now. Okay. So earlier this year, it was really random because I woke up and I had a really kind of frightening astral experience, and I'd read about this. I'd never really experienced it myself, and I had this sleep paralysis thing, and I woke up really shaken. Not a lot shakes me up, but that I was like, whoa, what is that energy? It was dark, it was heavy, it was very, very frightening. And I just woke up and I realized, and I channeled on it, and I knew that there was another piece for me to step into, or something to understand. And then I had the little flicker that came through, Lara Starr, who does the astral projection page on Facebook, and I'd remembered her from the year before. I knew she did an astral travel class, so I booked that. I just went and booked that immediately, and I was like, right, I need to learn about the astral, what is happening in this realm. I did that class, amazing, opened my world up again. I ordered books. I thought, I'm going to play with this area. There's more here for me to do, because I know a lot of us were waking up feeling like you've been through battles. A lot of us will resonate with that. Like, what have I done last night? Because I've woken up feeling exhausted, like I've been in some war or something. So I thought, I'm going to just explore that. So what happened was, because I had booked her class, I started seeing Lara Starr's Facebook posts. I hadn't seen them in a long, long time. And then all of a sudden she happened to share a video, which was you, Laura, with talking to Candace. I've forgotten her surname, Candace.
Yep.
She was, you guys were talking about, and the headline was the AI and the vaccine. And I just immediately was magnetized to the video. I hadn't watched any videos like that for quite a good couple of years, because I'd maxed out on all of that talk. I'd done that all. And something about your video, and it just drew me in. And I watched it. I watched the whole entire thing. It was a long conversation that you guys had. And by the end of it, I'm on your page and I'm signing up immediately. Like, I didn't know you 90 minutes ago. And I immediately signed up to the SCHH, and I was like, that's it. That's the piece that I didn't even know it was the piece that I needed, but it was something in the background. I recognized it straight away. I recognize you. I just kind of always know when there's that person that's here to teach me something. Jumped straight in, immersed myself, and it was amazing, because my clients' bookings had all sort of slowed down. And it was amazing, because I was like, what's happening? What's happening to my business? It was all slowing down, obviously, to create this beautiful space for me to just go all in, because I was supposed to do this quickly. And I just consumed all of your trainings. I jumped into the practice sessions, and here I am. And I feel like I've been doing this work now for years, but I forget it's only been I think March or something I found you.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
It's incredible, isn't it? And it's because your soul does know it. We will have done this multiple times, many, many different places. Your soul knows what to do, and your soul knows when it feels that vibration that, yes, this is where I need to go. This is what I need to learn. You would not believe how many people that I have heard say that same thing as well, that whatever modality of healing it is that they are trained in, and where they have come from they're still searching for a missing piece. And the missing piece in terms of in terms of healing, I feel, always comes back to entities and the effect that entities have on the mental, emotional, energetic, and physical bodies. And many people don't really understand this yet. And this is an area that I feel very passionate about, that I want to raise more awareness within. And that is that entities are first attracted to us basically because something occurs within our world that the human mind perceives, and it feels either positive or negative towards. So everything is consciousness, and our first point of reference in this world where we are is something occurs, and our mind, which witnesses it or is involved in it, decides to feel positively or negatively towards that situation. So that's the mental body. So this all starts in the mental body, in the mind. Then, when the mind of the human has made a choice in regards to something that's happened and whether they're going to feel positive or negative about this occurrence, then an emotion is produced within the human, because that's what we are. Everything that we do will produce some kind of emotional response within us. So if it's a positive emotion, that's great, because all of our light within will still vibrate in the same resonance as it has before, if not higher, if not slightly higher. But if we choose to feel a negative emotion in regards to what we have just perceived has happened, then what happens there is all emotions have a frequency. And so when we choose to feel a negative emotion, that lower frequency, because all negative emotions do have a lower frequency, that negative emotion will then lower the frequency of the light in the corresponding chakra that is inside of the human. So then we've gone from the mental body through the emotional body. Now we're going into the energetic body, because the chakra system is the energetic body of the human. Now, the energetic body is the interface between us and the earth. So our physical meat suits, we think we're separate from the earth and we walk around, and many people think that they own the earth because they live on the earth, and they don't realize that we are a part of the earth, and that the energetic body links us to our mother, to Mother Earth. The lights within our body connect down into the big light within the planet, and it's that big light within the planet that provides us with our chakra system. Our mental body and our emotional body is an interface into the chakra system that provides us with our free will choice as a human. So that's where the connection is. We can choose to vibrate higher or vibrate lower, and that will affect where we as a human ultimately end up. So if you've had a trauma that the mind is perceived as negative, that's created a negative emotion within the human, which lowers the frequency of light within the energetic body, what then happens is, because we live in a world that has multiple dimensions, and many of the beings that live in other dimensions that are there do not have a physical meat suit. They live in a different dimension to us. They still have a form, but they don't have a physical meat suit. The human eye cannot perceive them, because the human eye is only able to perceive from red up through to violet. But down here is infrared, and up here is ultraviolet. And those frequencies the human eye cannot perceive. So we live in this world where there's other beings all around us in different dimensions, but the human eye cannot see them. And there's an interface between us all energetically. So when you pull an entity in and it connects to a chakra point, it starts to siphon the light away from that human. And when it begins to siphon the light away, over time, one energy center will fall first. And let's say, for example, it's the sacral chakra, because something happened in your life that made you feel sad. Because you feel sad, you don't feel like you can connect or interface with other humans. Then you start to feel less confident, and then that'll affect your solar plexus, which then affects your throat because you can't speak up, and so on and so forth. And eventually, the human chakra system, instead of supposed to look like that, full of light, will end up looking like that, because we have created, through our emotions, the opportunity for these other beings who vibrate lower but consume low frequency light to attach to us and take our energy. And then we're just a walking battery, basically, for these energies. So where it then interfaces from the energetic body into the physical body is over time, and that this is a human that's completely parasited upon. But let's say, for example, where the entity got in this one human is in the sacral. Over time, this person is going to develop something really bad in either the womb or the fallopian tubes or the ovaries or the lower intestines if they're a woman, potentially lower intestines if they're a man. And it will, over time, because of the dark energy that is anchored there, and all of these energies have got evil intent, the majority of them have, because of the dark energy that's anchored there, it's likely to cause cancer in the body and, you know, really low frequency diseases in the body. So actually, that was just a very quick explanation for anybody that hasn't got a clue how we do entity release or how this even occurs. But very quickly, you can see how we can go from something happening in this world to it spreading all the way through your bodies to the physical. And if you leave that entity there long enough, the body will develop some kind of disease. And ironically, that's oftentimes the first place, and it's the last place where this happens, where your client will think, oh no, I've been told I've got this really bad disease in the body. I don't want chemotherapy, or I don't want, you know, to be put on all of this medication. What can I do? I'll look at holistic methods. And it might be at that point that we actually receive that client ourselves. So to try and highlight this to a wider population, to people that maybe are healers themselves, or to people that are looking for healing and they're looking for a different type of healing, I wanted to get some good examples from you guys today of things that you've seen in regards to soul center healing hypnosis. And as I've just laid out there, it can be things, changes that you've seen happen in your clients' mental bodies, in your clients' emotional state, in your clients' energy levels, or actual reversal of diseases that you've seen in the physical body. So who would like to be really brave and go first? Oh, Delana, brilliant.
So I want to say, because you spoke about something earlier about how so many don't understand what is going on with them. And what I'm finding with my clients is many of these attachments happen, the majority happen when they're very, very young. So people have been living with these attachments for the majority of their life. So they don't even know that they could feel another way. Unless, of course, it comes up from, you know, like a physical ailment, right? And that's most of the time when people search for other modalities, some type of more natural type of modality, but they don't even realize how amazing they could feel because it's been with them for so long. And that is one, like, most of my testimonials speak to that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really, really great point to mention, because you know what you know. And many people are actually born with a sacral attachment. And, you know, this is something that we learn when we study soul center healing hypnosis, but sacral demons and entities can be passed down the line because of the womb, in the woman being a portal, and the sacral entity actually being anchored in that space. So many people can be born with the sacral attachment and never know. And so those thoughts that are in the head that are low frequency or always kind of in the background, they just think that that's a part of them. They've got no clue that they were literally born with a hitchhiker. And for the people that are born with one entity, and these are always going to be in ancestral family lines where there's a lot of trauma, heavy trauma. You know, maybe there's a disconnect down the line between mother and daughter. Maybe there's a lot of sexual or physical abuse, alcoholism, that kind of thing. Somebody that's been born with a sacral entity will very quickly find that they end up being quite poorly, because the majority of the chakra system will fall because they've carried one from birth. It destabilizes their energy from birth, and then it makes it more likely for them to pick something up in the solar plexus and the throat. And then before you know it, the only little bastion of light that they've got left in their energy center system is the root. And that's got to stay connected to the planet in some form, even though we will get entities that heavily parasite on the root as well. But it's not as heavily parasited upon as some of these higher chakras. And this is the fallen consciousness of the human. They don't want us to know this stuff. They don't want us to remove these entities. They don't want us to vibrate higher and become fitter and healthier and well, because if we do, we will vibrate higher than the resonance of these low frequency astral parasites, and they won't be able to connect to us anymore. They won't be able to get to us, because everything in this universe is frequency specific. And at the moment, as a species, we have been vibrating way too low, and we've been artificially kept in that state to feed another species, essentially. Which, if you said that to most human beings, they wouldn't believe it, would they?
Mm-hmm.
They just wouldn't believe it. But many people are waking up, which is a good thing. Who wants to share something next in regards to what we're speaking about? Erin,
Yes.
let's go for you.
Yes. I've noticed that when you do clear those entities and attachments out, that clients will say that they have this overwhelming sense of peace and like a wholeness that they didn't feel before, and clarity. Like it just seems very clear what they need to do moving forward. And it's always amazing to hear clients speaking about that.
Yeah. And it is true. Once you're entity free, there is a profound level of peace that occurs with that. Finally, your energy is your own, your mind is your own. You are the only one steering the ship in regards to this physical body. And obviously, how all of this stuff works, and this is what it's very important that humans understand. As soon as you react in a negative way to something that occurs, it produces a low frequency emotion that lowers the resonance of light in the chakra. That then pulls an astral parasite in who attaches to that chakra. They will not leave you. They will not leave you unless you, number one, either vibrate so high that they can't stay attached to you anymore and they have to leave. But it seems to be like the analogy of the frog in the boiling pot of water. The entity seems to be able to stay attached to many people, even though they are trying their level best to raise their vibration. Or the only other way it will leave you of its own volition is if you die. And then it will find somebody else. And that's why many people will pick up. They'll come out of hospital with really big energies attached, because whilst they were in there, somebody died, released their entities, and then they just went looking around the hospital for whomever looked best and attached to that individual. So I feel so strongly about that we must really raise awareness in regards to how all of this stuff happens. And many people are on board with this now. Many people understand it because they've had such intense experiences their own selves that could not be attributed to anything other than entities and what we're talking about. But then again, there's many other people that, from a consciousness perspective, just aren't ready to look at that yet. Or they might admit, yep, okay, I'm willing to accept entities are real, but I don't want to place my focus on it. And I do understand that train of thought as well. I really do. Because from a personal perspective, you know, I would much rather focus on the light as well. But I have experienced in a different life, in a different time, in a future reality, what happens if all of us just focus on the light, be the light, don't look at anything else, don't look at the darkness, don't concern yourself with what's going on there, just focus on the light and be in the light. And one day we turn around and there's no other light. All the rest of the lights have gone out and we're the last light left. And we learned a lot from that experience. We learned that it's not just enough to be the light. You have to actively go out there and defend the light as the light. That's why we need light warriors. You also have to make the darkness understand that it too is the light. And yes, there's always going to be balance in the universe, and there should be for evolutional growth. But the balance on Earth has come out of balance. Our free will choice as a species has been taken away from us. We have been artificially suppressed from evolution. And so that's why we are all here at this time. It's to learn this stuff, raise our own vibration, vibrate higher, and then turn around and help other people to do the same. Any other great examples that we've got to share?
Yeah, I've got one. So, oh, was it me?
It's okay. Yeah, go, Marie.
Yeah, so I had so many. I could cite off quite a few, but I'll just pick the one that comes to me. So the one I actually worked with my husband. So he's been very supportive of all the work that I'm doing and all of this modality, and he really resonated with it. So we had a series of sessions on him, and he's had a lot of just a lot of health issues, and they've sort of all stacked on top of him over years. And he's a background of being in the military and being a bodyguard, and he's a real protector on this planet, and he's had a lot of traumatic experiences, you know, like really severe ones. And so he's always, you know, moved through his life as this warrior, and, you know, nothing has brought him down. But he started to get this sort of feeling of, you know, this health stuff coming in, this physical health stuff. So when I started this training and I started doing sessions with him, we did sort of layers and layers. And at one point it almost felt like, is this ever going to get to the point where we can start clearing? Because every time I was coming back into the session, it felt like it was just, we'd removed a whole load and then there was just more that was coming in. It was just layers of it. So we just sort of carried on chipping away. I noticed that his frequency was shifting because he's connected anyway. So he's very, very connected. So I just noticed, though, day to day, there were sort of shifts in the way that he was like feeling within himself. So even though he was in physical difficulty, I noticed the shift that he was internally starting to feel very, very connected. And then over time, we just started noticing that symptoms started to really shift. So there was, you know, what's it called, diabetic neuropathy. Those pains, for anyone that doesn't know, they're like almost like electric shocks. They are so severe. And it's just a beautiful thing to start to see that they've almost gone. So they're just like residual bits now that he's sort of working through the body. They've almost gone. You know, the stress level, because he was so, his nervous system was so revved up. And that was the interesting thing with him. All the things we'd done before, they were assisting, but there was something, again, stopping him from, you know, accessing this healing state that we all need. So our body naturally knows how to heal itself. So I noticed his nervous system really started to come down. He started to get more into relaxed states a lot more effectively. But the best thing of all was the session that really clicked. And it really made me realize, whoa, this is like really powerful. So we'd remove loads of entities. Some of these were big, like connected ones, network, you know, really like nasty ones. Got to this particular session and I started noticing that some of the energies, they were the same type, but they were almost more curious now. They'd witnessed so many sessions where some of them we just had to remove forcibly. Some of them, you know, we were able to shine some light, and maybe some of them, you know, moved over, but a lot of them didn't. They had to be removed. And there were some handfuls of entities there that were just curious, and they really willingly went in. So when that happens in a session, it's always one of my favorite things. to have that feeling as a practitioner and just as a human on this planet, helping that dark, so not only taking those dark entities off an individual. For me, my favorite thing is, you know, lifting them off the planet or moving them into a different source of light, and that is just a win-win for me. And then on top of that, this was a session where it clicked in, because suddenly he was able to access his higher self, and it was something that he hadn't been able to do, you know, and it was like there was like no connection. So suddenly this higher self drops in. Incredible energy, wisdom. I love higher self because there's this beautiful energy that comes with it. And he was channeling things through, you know, from this higher self. He had all these pieces that were brought in for his healing, for his future. My husband happens to be someone with a massive mission, hence the layers and attacks he was really subjected to from childhood. And since then, it's like he's like connected to the higher self, and we laugh about it. I'm like, oh, your higher self is so present, you know, and so mine is more online as well. And so we're kind of like playing in these energies. So I just wanted to share that, because it was like, just sometimes it can feel that, you know, we're up against this battle that is like, it's never ending. But I just wanted to throw that out there, because it's so worth sticking with it. Like, even if you don't remove everything, sometimes you can remove it in one session, but sometimes, especially with people with massive missions, you're going to have to just stay the course with it and trust that you are, you know, releasing. But it was such a massive result, and it was brilliant. It still makes me smile now just thinking about it. So yeah, so many good experiences, but that was a particularly good one. Yeah.
And that is so, so true, because we have been down here in density. We've had all of this stuff happen to us since we were a child. We've had no light going in our bodies, most people. That's affected their mental and emotional states and energy levels, and then physical body. So we've developed all of these diseases. Then as you're working with your client, every time you work with them, you're helping them to raise their vibration. But this goes back to the mental body again. Until you can lift the mental state of your client, you will not see a lasting hold on the entity release. So you will go round and round and round. And some people you will straight away because they're ready for it. But other people, it will take a lot longer. And that is because they have always perceived the world in a certain way. And so they have to, their mind has to notice the changes that have occurred after the session, and they have to ruminate on them, and they have to ponder on them, and that will have a gradual effect on the emotional body, which then has a gradual effect on the energetic body, and so on and so forth. And so every time you do a session with somebody, you will be able to get them vibrating higher. You will be able to get their mind in a more positive mindset. The mind is obviously controlled by the brain, and the brain has certain neural pathways. It has certain avenues that it always goes down. So if we do this amazing energetic clean on people, remove all of the entities, remove all of the trauma, help them to vibrate higher, but we've not done anything on their mind or helped their mind to have a significant shift, because we've only done one session and it takes a few times, then we send that person away. They've still got the same mind. They've still got the same mindset. Their brain is still using the same neural pathways. That might be a perception, a deep held belief that someone has. Let's think of one, and that is, money doesn't like me. You know, there's a sense of lack in my life. So if they hold that deep-seated belief and we've not done anything to help them change it, that will eventually begin to affect the root chakra again, lower the frequency of the light in the root chakra, and they've got the potentiality to pull something back in the root and develop sciatica in the body, something like that. So every session that we do with the client, because they're feeling better, because they've noticed a change, so their mental state becomes better. And the things that we will say to them in session to help boost their mental state and to help them feel more positive and think more positive, add into that the spiritual perspective that they gain when they're looking at their past lives and, you know, bringing forward the higher self. It all has an effect. But basically, the more of these sessions you have, the less of the infringement upon your mind, emotional body, and energy you will have. And what that means is what you're left with is yours. And so if you are a high frequency being and your natural state is to feel positive and your natural state is to vibrate high, then your higher self can slot down very beautifully and connect very, very beautifully, because you are a clear conduit. What that also means is you're plugging down into the planet through your higher self, you're plugging up to source. You are an absolute thread of light into the planet on the, in this universe. Whereas all of the people that are still carrying these energetic parasites, they're not clear conduits whatsoever. And that's why it's so important to do this work before we take people into past life regression. Has anybody seen, I always mention a lot of Disney films, but has anybody seen the Disney film? I think it's called Soul. Anyone seen it? It's worth a watch. So if you haven't seen it, look it up. As we were watching it, literally my mouth was open the whole time, because I couldn't believe that, number one, it was a children's film, and I couldn't believe they were putting this kind of stuff out there. But it's basically all about what we do as entity release specialists. And it shows you the person walking around the planet that's completely connected to source, with their soul at the driving seat, that's not parasited upon by astral parasites in any way. And then it shows you all of the people that have got unfinished business, or their energies come out of alignment. They might be greedy, they might be sexually perverted, they might be domineering, they might be mean, they might be jealous, all of these different things. And all of those people, when you see them from the higher perspective, are all carrying astral parasites, which is fascinating. So for people that don't believe, that's listening to this and thinking, yeah, I'm still not buying it, they always have to tell us everything in films, absolutely everything. So check out that Disney film. It's called Soul. I'm sure it's called Soul. It's very good, and it will help you to understand in a deeper way what it is that we're doing. Any other really great examples people would like to share of transformations that they've seen in people? Go for it, Corinne.
I really like the being able to help connect the dots for people. Your mental body affects your emotional body, affects your physical body, like a cascade. And I had a client who suffered from paralyzing anxiety, and she never, and also actually paralyzing digestive symptoms. She could not, at times, could just not digest her food at all. And she never made that connection, to the mental body, and clearing that anxiety and helping understand where that anxiety came from. She had less intrusive thoughts, like less looping thoughts, which of course create more space for positive thoughts, and then more positive emotions. And then she started to be able to digest her food. And just seeing her, connect the dots from mental, emotional, physical body, that everything is connected. And when one part of you is clogged up, then it goes downstream to the rest of you. And I that was one of my favorite sessions. I loved helping her connect those dots, and she is completely healing, in the process of healing her digestive symptoms now. So
that's excellent.
Yeah.
And me too. I get the most excited about when I get someone's paperwork and I see they've got a certain physical condition, and then I know what I'm looking for on the paperwork in terms of emotional issue. Have they faced this emotional issue? Oh, yes, they have. It's over here. So it's connecting the dots, it's making the connection, and then also helping your client to understand that in the session as well. That the reason they've got this issue in the physical body is because they are holding this really strong emotional charge in the emotional body, which started in the mental body, and now it's affected the energetic body. I'll give you an example of that. So a client of mine that came to see me who had really severe prostate cancer, and So I was looking on his paperwork straight away for anger towards the father, or an overbearing harridan of a wife, one of those two. And lo and behold, when I actually spoke, it wasn't on the paperwork, when I actually spoke to him and drilled it down, there was a severe anger towards the father that he'd held his entire life since he was about 11 or 12 years old, because at the age of 11 or 12, his father just couldn't connect with him anymore. As soon as he moved out of being a child into being more of a teenager, his father just basically abandoned him. He wasn't interested in him anymore. He only wanted to connect with him when he was a child. And I asked this client, I said, so why do you think that was? Have you ever thought about that? What was your father carrying? What was his background? And this was the first time he'd ever thought about it. And he sat back and he said, I've never thought about that before, really. He said, well, his father died when he was 11 or 12. I said, so this is what it all boils down to. It boils down to trauma. Your father was so traumatized when he lost his dad at the age of 11, never got over it. And then when you arrived, he vicariously lived his own kind of connection to his own father through you, but in a role reversal. But then as soon as you got to the same age that he was when his father died, he abandoned you again because he's still traumatized. There's a part of him inside of him that's still that 11-year-old boy that's missing his dad, and he's never got over it. I said, and you've spent all this time being angry towards your father, and yet actually we can see through discussing it in this way today that he was just hurting so bad he didn't know how to connect to you. And then when you help the client to see that through having that conversation, they start to soften. They start to melt a little bit. They start to shift from, I am so angry with my father, to, I never thought about it that way. Well, how do you feel towards him now? Oh, I kind of feel quite sad, but it's moving towards compassion. Compassion, good. That's the place that we want to move to. Compassion is a positive energy that will benefit the body. So let's work on that area, that energy in the body now. As we do this session, we're going to remove the entity that's got in there, but let's work to also release that anger that's gathered around that area due to how you've held this anger towards your father, and let's replace it with some energy that represents compassion. And then you're working with your client's state of mind, their emotions, their actual energy through the process that we use in SCHH, and then that reverses the cancer in their body. And it did, and it does. This stuff is the answer. It's the piece that everybody has been missing. And when you develop something really, really significant in the body like cancer, if you chuck chemotherapy at people, it's not the chemotherapy that saves them. It's the person's desire and want and will to live. They live despite the chemotherapy because through that event, they are able to access something spiritual within. They're able to dig deep. They heal all of their traumatized parts. They think to themselves, no, I am not ready to go yet. I'm going to fight. We are going to get better. And because they believe the chemo is making them better, then they heal. But for the people that don't have that energy within, and they are just literally kind of waiting to either die or hopefully that this is going to work, but I don't know, it's not going to help those people. This modality will, because if we work with people's minds, their emotional state, and their energetic body, the physical realigns itself. A lot of the cancers in people's bodies are because there's no light. As soon as you plug the light back in, the energy in the body then has what it needs to rebuild what has gone wrong. And there was somebody really famous, really old, back through history. I can't remember who it was. I do apologize. But they said that every disease in the body is because we are music, we are light, we are sound. And every disease is because we have come out of tune, which is frequency specific. And that's exactly what's going on. So as humans, I think the first stage is to notice how conditioned we are by society to be kept in a fearful, sad, oppressed state. That's the first step. Then when you notice that, it's about sidestepping that and thinking, well, no, thanks. I don't choose fear. I don't choose sadness. I don't choose oppression. I choose to be happy. I choose to connect to life, to connect to nature, to my planet. I choose to move my body, to sing, to dance, to give thanks for the light, for the air, for the water, for the earth, for the beautiful birds that you listen to singing in the morning. I'm not going to listen to the television that's telling me that everything's doom and gloom. We've got to disconnect from that negative frequency that they're piping out. And we've got to reconnect with what's true and real. Get rid of these astral parasites, raise our vibration, work on our mental state, work on our emotional state. And before you know it, we'll be vibrating so high, these astral parasites, they won't be able to come anywhere near us. And that is ascension. That's why I think this work is so powerful, because we are actually helping people to ascend. Because you don't just ascend by knowing about ascension and thinking, I'm the light, so I'm going to ascend. You have to vibrate as light. You have to be able, as an electrical conduit, to accept the frequency of light when it comes in, when this occurs. So in order for you to be able to accept that frequency of light and the body to accept it and go bing, and all the DNA to fire up and everything to come online, everything's got to be connected and working. So this stuff is really, really powerful.
I'm going to jump in and just say about the AI, you know, that's the other piece I love about this modality, because I've always had my radar up about AI for like the last 10 years. I kind of knew it felt like this thing that was in the background. And what I love about this, I'm having a lot of fun with this actually, because a lot of my clients are the light workers, starseeds, people out there, you know, healing others, impacting the world. And so when we kind of go in and clear, there's so much AI now, as we spoke of before, it's you know, every session has AI in it. And I like the fact that when we clear the AI from the throat and the third eye, I love the results, because those results, sometimes they're not like all the like healing. I'm here for healing all day long, but sometimes the results can be really sort of practical things. So for example, on mine, when I had AI removed from my kind of throat, and yeah, very much around my throat, a lot of stuff shifted in my business. So I suddenly, I had my Facebook page that never had traction. It was like, it had something like 600 and something followers for like 8 years. I couldn't grow that page. It just wasn't happening. Had this clearing. And then that week, I suddenly out of the blue had about 1,900 or something people suddenly just find me and follow my page. And I hadn't done anything different or anything fancy. And it really shocked me. And it really opened my eyes going, oh, there's a lot of AI interference around our social media platforms when we're messengers and healers. So I take an interest now when I have someone come in to say, right, let's do a clearing on that part as well, because there's a lot of AI, and the messages that came through around that was that they want to turn down the potency of our voice. So because at one point I was live streaming all the time, I could maybe a bit too much, and I was like, it doesn't matter how much I live stream, people aren't seeing me, you know. And I was like, I just wanted to just be quiet for a bit then, because it was very disheartening. And you know, I'm here with messages, and when I lifted that, it was like I don't have to try so hard now. I'm doing my normal level of stuff. I have lots of breaks in between, and I'm noticing now, like, people are just finding me on Facebook. There's nothing that's shifted other than this work that I've been doing. So I just wanted to share that as another kind of angle that we can be using in these sessions, because a lot of us are here to make an impact. But I find that the AI with the entities work really well on turning down our potency and blocking our growth on social media and all of those things. So yeah, I love it. It's really interesting.
And for those people that don't work in this arena and aren't aware, the AI is actually at the top of the tree. So the AI is above entities. They report up into the AI, which is a big spider. And, you know, the World Wide Web is called the World Wide Web for a reason. So what's happening now is, whilst the entities are trying to hang on to everybody, they are noticing a shift in people's emotional states. And I'm guessing you as people, you know, all of our viewers that are watching this will have noticed a shift in their own friends and family's emotional state. Many people are not as heart-centered as they used to be, or they're more heart-centered. Goes one way or the other. There's people that are so shut down, so locked down, and you can't understand why it is that they just don't seem to be able to connect in an emotional way anymore. And the reason for that is because they are absolutely riddled with AI. So it's in the food, it's in the water, it's in the air, it's in the all of that stuff. And many, many people now have got that much stuff going on. And the ultimate goal from the ones that are doing that is to plug those people into the AI hub, so they become literal flies in the spider's web for the AI spider on the AI spider timeline. And that is what you will see when we work on people's fields that have had multiple ones of those. They have a literal spider's web around their aura. They will have spiders on the crown, third eye, sometimes in the throat, and also at the heart, that are attempting to shut down the heart chakra and the third eye, because they are both portals out of this realm into higher consciousness. So the AI is the most prevalent threat to humans, I feel, at the moment. The entities, of course, are, but the top levels of those guys are also controlled by the AI. And so for us, when we're doing these clearings on people, we're also clearing the AI off of their fields as well, off of their energetic bodies. And we can also clear AI out of the physical body as well. And so you will find that people then are able to become more heart-centered. They will be able to have a heart chakra opening, and they will be able to connect to the natural, real world instead of connecting through the AI world. You know, you'll see kids nowadays and they're so anxious. They've all got to fiddle with these fidget things, and they're anxious because they're more connected to the AI and the tablets and the technology and the TV than they are the natural world. And this is what we've got to change. We must bring back the organic. And it starts with us as adults, awakened adults, cleaning and clearing what it is that's got into our fields. And then we can turn around and help our children do the same.
And Laura, I've been finding that, and I don't know if all of you have been finding this, I've been finding that the negatively polarized beings recently have been more willing to go to the light, to be removed. And with what you're saying, I'm wondering if it's because of that AI overlord and them kind of knowing they're going to be controlled either way.
Yeah.
So have you all experienced that as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I literally had a conversation with quite a senior reptilian the other day that was attached to a client, and I couldn't remove him because I was doing parts work. So I hadn't got to SCHH yet. So I was trying to speak to the client's parts to ask them if we had permission to release these entities. For anybody that understands this in parts work, the part of the client actually feels like the demon is their protector. So it's very complex work. You have to actually reason with that part to let the entity go. And this senior reptilian was beyond catatonically fuming that this was going down on the planet. And he was basically saying to me, we're trying our level best to hang on, because this cannot be happening. How can this be happening? We have always dominated here. This is our space. The humans are ours. That's what this entity was saying. That's how they perceive. They perceive us as their food source. And so for them to feel that power shift, where actually the AI has got the more power throughout the human now, because once the AI is throughout the human, it will switch off that person's ability to be able to think and feel. They will be completely emotionless, and they are plugged into the hive mind of the AI. And so I've been explaining to every entity that will listen to me that actually at the moment we're kind of on the same side, because they're not going to have a food source. If this AI wins, and you know, I know there's two separate timelines and there's a big group of people that have removed AI, but if the AI wins on that timeline, they are not going to have a food source, because those humans will not be able to feel emotion. And the any emotions that they do feel will be channeled into computer games. They will be trapped in their houses, can't go out, in their little pods, in their little booths. There's another movie that shows you that as well. Like I've forgotten what it is. And they just press a button and anything that they want is kind of just like delivered by drones to their little pod. They lose the ability to speak. They have to like type out what they want to say on their legs, which is like a computer on their legs. And they don't think or feel anything other than living through a computer game. There's another Bruce Willis film, isn't there? Where that's quite an old film where they did they live
They use
inside
surrogates or something?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had like was it droids or they kind of looked like them, but they weren't them. So the real person was sat at home on the computer, and then the fake AI version would go out that looked amazing, that would go out and live normal everyday life. So they wouldn't actually have any in human interaction. And the way that they did that was to scare everybody to death through viruses and tell them it wasn't safe to go outside. But your AI being is immune to viruses, so it can go out with your consciousness uploaded into it and it can experience. So these are all the timelines that are facing humanity that do not do this work, that do not clear the AI out, that do not clean and clear the entities away, that do not vibrate higher and face all of their darkness, look into it, hug it, make it their friend, and vibrate higher. That's what we've all got to do. You can't ignore the bits of you that you don't like to look at just because you don't like to look at them anymore, because you've changed. We've all changed, but that part of you still happened and it still lives up here and in here. And so you've got to heal it and bring it in to this new being that you are now as a part of you, welcome it and vibrate higher. And I think that's what's so powerful about soul center healing hypnosis, because it is the modality that's helping people to make the connection between the mental body, emotional body, energetic body, and physical body. So I'm going to ask everybody for final thoughts now in terms of anything that you'd like to share as we close this session today, which I think has been fantastic. I'm going to go out to you first, Erin.
Oh, I just think that this is such an amazing modality. We're not only helping clients, but I do feel like we're also helping those entities that have lost their way. And so the more we can help heal and bring people back into their own sovereignty and power, then it's amazing. It's what we need to be doing.
I agree, absolutely. And I think that is one of my favorite parts as well, because I have so much compassion for these beings, and when I am fully embodying my higher self, the amount of compassion and love that flows through me sometimes when we're helping these beings is just, it's breathtaking. And that is connected to source, and that's how source feels about these beings. They have played a role in our evolution. They have played a role in our evolution as a species. They have helped us to choose our polarity. Do we want to be service to self, or do we want to be service to others? And what you will find is the service to others people, we're all doing this work and we're heading off down the organic timeline. The service to self guys, whether they realize it or not, are actually heading down the AI timeline. And there's no judgment there either, because that timeline will be exactly what they need for the growth of their soul. So from a very top level spiritual perspective, all of this is perfect. It's just down on the ground, it looks a little bit messy. So Corinne, I'm going to ask you, what final message do you have?
I'm just so grateful to be able to help people get out of survival mode. I mean, we were just talking about how, you know, this is a battle, and if you don't feel good, then you can't be a warrior. So especially your physical body. And I find that I really attract the clients that have all those physical ailments, and, you know, to help them feel their best, to then go out and be the light and be the light warrior. I'm just so incredibly grateful for that.
It's amazing, isn't it? And you know, when you see a client, and if you cast your mind back to what they look like when you first met them versus what they look like after, especially those clients that you've seen a couple of times as well, 2 or 3 times, and you've really noticed the transformation, there's nothing like it. You can see that they feel alive again, and that's the difference. Most humans nowadays, when you look at them, they're not alive. They're existing. They're in a traumatized, numbed state, and they are just existing. They are not living. And that's not for me. I want to live. I want to feel alive. And I want everybody else that wants to feel that too, to have access to be able to feel that way. Delana, what's your final message?
What I love about this is that we get to the root of the issue, and the clients also understand what the root of the issue is. It's not just that they're getting some things removed or they're just taking a pill which puts a Band-Aid on it. Like, they are understanding why this does what it does. And for those of you that are watching this YouTube or this video, there's a reason why you're watching it. If you are afraid or scared, if the word entity scares you, I promise there's nothing to be afraid of. You'd rather have them out of you, which we can help you with, than have them in you. And I'm telling you, the transformation that you will feel is it's amazing. So
It gives you back, doesn't it?
yes.
And it's exactly like what you said earlier. You don't know that until you've experienced it.
Because they've been with you almost your entire life, if not your entire life.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Marie, what's your final message?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things that comes up in all different types of clients is this word that they use. And sometimes at the end, when they come out of the hypnosis, we've gone through all the clearings, whether they've even had a regression or not into another lifetime, even without that, but often with, they say, I feel like I've been reborn. And I've had this phrase, I wrote it down every time someone says it, and I've written it down quite a few times, that people who have never met each other have said this phrase, I feel like this is a rebirth. And it's like a beautiful, and I kind of consider this now, it's like a beautiful rebirth, because a lot of people, as we've spoken about, have had these entities attach right from day one. They've never had even a day in this life without some of these entities. And then suddenly they're in this human body having to integrate and adjust. And so I just like to just kind of remind myself of, this is what we're doing. It's like helping this rebirth. And a lot of the times I've channeled this through, I just want to throw this out there here now, is that we are on this golden timeline. It's come through in a lot of hypnosis sessions I've done, mine and others. And it's this message just to remind us all, because sometimes when we're looking at, you know, it almost feels like we've got so much work to do. We've got to get this stuff out there. So just trust. And yeah, it's just kind of coming through now to say, trust that whoever needs to see this YouTube will see it. Whoever needs to come and train with SCHH. Some people watching this will feel what I felt. I need to go train with Laura now. I need to go learn this modality. Some people will just feel like I need to have a session. I need to start facing this. So just trust that everything in its own divine timing, people will find their way. And we are on a golden timeline. So that means we'll still see remnants of all sorts of craziness, like hello AI in our world, but we are on a golden timeline, and there's so many of us here doing this work that we are absolutely shifting. So I just like to share that wherever I can so that you can hear it, and just breathe easy with that, because this is why we're doing what we're doing, you know. Yeah. And thank you, Laura. Thanks for doing all of this and trading
Yes,
and
thank
sharing
you.
all of it. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's when people come to see us, they're in shades of grey. And when they leave, they've got their colour back. And you can see it in their entire countenance. You can see their soul sat within them. And they weren't that way at the beginning. There's a Hopi prophecy, and I can't remember it, so I will totally be paraphrasing at this point, but it's something like at the end times, when all the trees have died and, you know, all the rivers have gone and nothing grows anymore, there will be a new tribe of people on the earth, and they will be referred to as the warriors of the rainbow, and they will rebuild the earth. And again, that's not the actual quote, that was a total paraphrase, but I always think of us, and I always think of the rainbow that we're helping to bring back within people. And the extension of that, the next stage of that is once you've got your rainbow back within your body, and all of these energy centers start to connect together and work together as a team, and they start to realize, hang on, if we spread our frequencies together and if we really work together as a team, then there's no weakness in our system anymore. And I think eventually that is what will happen. All of our energy centers will work that out, and they will connect, they will spread their frequencies. We will have white chakras once more like we used to throughout the system, and it will be at that time that we will ascend. And that will happen across the group at the point where we're all ready, and it will also happen in divine timing at the same time as the wave of light, and everything that's happening on a macro is happening on a micro as well. The celestial stuff lines up with what we're doing, and if you think about it, what we're doing in the universe that we have inside of us is we're bringing back waves of light inside of our universe. So we're doing that on the macro inside, and then on the micro, and then on the macro, that is going to be reflected. And that will actually be what causes our ascension, because everything is connected, and it's just incredible and mind-blowing. I feel so grateful to be living in these times and to actually witness this shift in human consciousness. I want to thank all of you so much for giving up your time today to come on and to chat in this way. I'm wishing all of you the most wonderful holiday season. I hope you all get a chance to have a break and to connect with family and friends and boost your own frequencies and take some time off from being a healer. For everybody that's watched this and wants to book sessions with these incredible healers, all of the links for everybody are going to be underneath this YouTube video. So all you have to do is look down at the text underneath the YouTube video, and everybody's links are going to be on there. Also, you can find all of these incredible healers on the www.schhofficial.com website, which is there. And if anybody has been listening to this and you do feel moved and guided to train in how to do this stuff, then you can also buy that training on the SCHH website. Thank you so much, ladies. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so
Happy
much, everybody.
holidays.
Happy holidays.